Lincoln Riley again rallies for the beleaguered USC defense. The Rams rid themselves of a player who didn't produce again, and with the Kings season opening tonight, a former coach has been diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. Good morning, I'm James. This is your daily dose of sports and snark for the greatest sports city in the world, Los Angeles. This is the faithful Angelenos morning report. So it is October 11, 2023. Lovely day. Absolutely lovely. The air is fresh. Gonna go enjoy it. But before we do, let's talk LA sports. If you like knowing about LA sports, clickety-clack the like button. Clickety-clack the subscribe button. There's a notification bell. Hit that. It'll let you know when we drop new content. Sharing is caring. Let people know we exist. And comment, because there's always good stuff. Always interesting stuff talking about LA. And we got a lot to get to today. So before we go through the news and notes and look at the scoreboard, there were no games involving LA teams yesterday. But today, the Dodgers are in Arizona at 6 o'clock with their season on the line. Game 3 of a best-of-5 series. The Dodgers are must win. Arizona leads 2-0. Lance Lynn is going against Brandon Pfaadt. Interesting name. Hate making fun of it, but Pfaadt. That's the guy. Hey, what are you going to do? Meanwhile, the season opener for the LA Kings are going to host Colorado at 7 tonight. But what do you say we get to the news? A reporter asked Lincoln Riley some obvious question about the defense Tuesday. Now, I don't know what the question was, but it's an obvious one because the defense has been just so bad, right? What other kind of question could it be? I would rather slam my fingers repeatedly into a car door than to watch USC football play defense. I would rather dive into a swimming pool full of double-edged razor blades than to watch Alex Grinch coach defense. But anyway, the response Riley gave was so lengthy. A dissertation. Johnny Cochran defending O.J. Simpson length. The LA Times clocked it. They said that Riley gave a 2-minute, 12-second defense of the USC defense to one question. It was so long that if Lincoln Riley had won an Academy Award, the orchestra would have been playing in the back to try and get him off the damn stage. Quote, a lot of people in the media had their mind made up that the first second there was any adversity this year, it was like, oh my God, they should have done this, and they should have made this change, and blah, 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 and it's not true. Listen, you're going to go through the whole year. You're going to have a tough time. You're going to have a tough quarter. Do you respond? Unquote. Obviously not the whole 2 minutes, because that is the very definition of gaslighting. It's not one quarter. It's not a little bit of adversity. You're giving up 500 yards to third-string quarterbacks, for Pete's sake. The Trojans have the 109th ranked defense in the entire country. But Riley continued, quote, this is a much improved unit. There's no question about it. There's so many great things, unquote. Now, to be honest, he has to say a lot of these things. He has to, because if he trashes his own defense, that will make matters even worse. And then Caleb Williams will have to drop 60 on people for the rest of the year. You think I enjoy talking about USC's defense in this matter? USC should be in the running for a national championship, and they're not because of that defense. Now, to be fair, the team is 5th in the country in sacks, number 1 in tackles for loss. But we spoke about this, about why it is that way in great detail on my football show, Friday Night Chalk Talk, which I come out with, obviously, every Friday night. 2 weeks ago, we talked about USC's defense. Look for it on the USC playlist if you want a breakdown as to why Alex Grinch's play calling, his play calling, is putting USC's athletes at an extreme disadvantage because it is an extreme defense. Alex Grinch blitzes on every play. He blitzes so much that it leaves gaping holes, often in the deep middle. which means both cornerbacks have to go one-on-one the entire game, which means instead of having multiple safeties to help out on deep pass coverage, you have one who often gets exposed. So Alex Grinch, the way he calls defense, either one of two things happens. Either you put the quarterback in the turf or you give up an explosive play. There is no middle ground. Flip a coin. Cryptocurrency is more stable than Alex Grinch's play calling. It's just that simple. If you want it in detail, watch Friday Night Chalk Talk. You may have sensed this coming ever since last year when the Rams offense completely fell apart. There were players that came in with hype and they just didn't contribute. You know, you had Allen Robinson II last year. He was supposed to be the replacement for Odell Beckham Jr. Cam Akers was drafted. He was supposed to be a suitable replacement for Todd Gurley. And Van Jefferson was supposed to be the next Robert Woods. Strike one, strike two, strike three, they're all out. They've all been traded. Yesterday, the third person was traded. This would be Jefferson. He was sent to Atlanta, along with a 7th-round pick. And in return, the Rams get a 6th-round pick. Now, both picks are for the 2025 draft. It's not even that time of year, you know, when people start asking, hey, who are the buyers and sellers at the trade deadline? The Rams are selling like they haven't even won a game yet. But there is a reason that they're doing it. The 3 players that I mentioned, the ones that were traded, were all given legit chances to become integral parts of the Rams offense, and it didn't happen. Didn't happen for Akers. Didn't happen for Robinson, most definitely. Jefferson's best year was the year the Rams won the Super Bowl. But even then, he only caught 50 passes as the 3rd receiver. He had surgery after the year, but then his production just vanished. Poof, like a Copperfield skit. He was absolutely surpassed by not only Puka Nacua, but Tutu Atwell. So now to have 4 receivers, even though Van Jefferson isn't contributing, it's a bit of a luxury. If you're going to run out the 3 receivers, Van Jefferson now isn't even on the list. Jefferson just played 2 snaps on Sunday. 2. Now, I will grant you a 6th-round pick isn't much, so the Falcons probably win the trade, but big whoop. And yet, if you're a Rams fan, as I am, you're left wondering, is there yet another shoe to drop? Could the Rams purge a couple of more players? Now, granted, not for high draft picks, but could they do it? It is clear that in order to keep Sean McVay from retiring to the broadcast room with his trophy wife, the Rams gave him a lot of say on the roster. In other words, if you're not with the program and you don't produce, pack your bags. To their credit, the website Turf Show Times listed players who could be next. Consider offensive lineman Joe Noteboom, often injured now, lost both the left tackle job and the right guard job. Now, trading him wouldn't get you a lot back, but what it would give you that would be extremely useful is $10 million in cap space next offseason. See, the Rams were super duper over the cap, extremely over the cap this year. Next year, oh my God, they're going to have so much cap space it's not even funny. So if you want to add another $10 million, you guys go right ahead. With the emergence of Akello Witherspoon at corner, could McVay then look to defense and say to hell with it and send out, say, Darian Kendrick? These are all questions. I'm not saying it will happen, but you could see it. Here's some distressing news. Former Kings coach Barry Melrose was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease and because of that resigned as an analyst with ESPN so that he can focus on his health. Now, he is known for the mullet, he is known for the style, he is known for the brief coaching tenure with the Kings. He actually did play 6 years in the NHL. I don't want to call him an enforcer, he was more of an agitator. He only scored 6 times, got a lot of penalty minutes. The Kings were his first NHL coaching gig, and he led the team, well, technically Wayne Gretzky led that team, to their first Stanley Cup Finals appearance back in 1993. And to be frank, Melrose rubbed a lot of people the wrong way back then. For one, he wanted more two-way players, so he wound up trading away Luke Robitaille. Luke Robitaille for Rick Tocchet. Look, you trade away a guy like Luke Robitaille, you better bring results with you. And the problem is, the results didn't come. So he got ran in 1995. Kings fans eventually forgave him because Robitaille came back. Melrose is a very likable guy. To be honest with you, Parkinson's is not necessarily a death sentence. For example, Michael J. Fox has it. He's had it for decades. He's still around. But it can damn sure impact your life in profoundly negative ways. So yeah, I did pray for the guy last night, and maybe you might want to consider it too. You can have 23 players on an NHL roster, although some players do get scratched game to game. In order, though, to complete the financial gymnastics with being up against the salary cap, the Kings are likely to dress fewer than 23, though. Maybe as few as 20. Some of the roster moves had to be made with the cap in mind as opposed to capability. The LA Times, for example, they reported that defenseman Jordan Spence absolutely earned a spot on the roster. Based on his ability, based on his talent, totally earned it. He's not here. Why? The salary cap. He had to go down to Ontario because other players could fit, he couldn't. Now, I want to tell you something else about the Kings. If you suffer from anxiety and want an excuse to use your medical marijuana outside of the arena, consider this. There is an adage in hockey. Your best penalty killer is the goalie. So anytime the Kings go on the man disadvantage, keep in mind that you have Phoenix Copley and Cam Talbot in net. I don't know. That happens. I don't smoke, but if you spark the bong, I wouldn't blame you. You might want to consider calling it the puff puff pass penalty kill. Legendary first baseman Steve Garvey announced he will run for the U.S. Senate for the spot vacated by the late Dianne Feinstein. You see, once you're dead, you're unemployed. That's the best way to describe it, even if you're a U.S. Senator. Now, Garvey vowed to run a common sense campaign looking to help resolve problems with homelessness and crime. I've met him both as a kid and as an adult. I have his autograph on a Dodgers jersey. Absolutely love the guy. Dude, you're a Republican in California. You may as well run your election social media campaign through MySpace. You are not going to get a lot of traction out in California. Straight and simple. Regarding tonight's win or go home game for the Dodgers, I went through as many news sites as I could to try to give some insight for you. And all it said about the Dodgers was play better. I poop you not. That's all they said. Play better. Love the insight, scribes. Love the insight. Chargers running back Austin Eckler said there's a 99% chance he's playing against Dallas on Monday Night Football. Now, we've spoken a lot during Eckler's time off about how many athletes see ankle injuries as lasting either 2 weeks or 4 weeks. Eckler's was in the high ankle, so that became a 4-week thing. He went through practice Tuesday without needing an ankle brace. Caught passes, made juke moves. Now, Eckler played the season opener for the Bolts, rushed for 117 yards. Since then, the Chargers haven't been able to run, so I'm assuming they're welcoming him back with open arms. Unlike J.C. Jackson, remember to tie your shoes, bruh. I mentioned earlier I've been trying to find explanations to how defensive coordinator DeAnton Lynn has been finding success with UCLA's defense that other coordinators haven't. Now, The Athletic noted the Bruins are third in the country in stop rate. Now, this is a stat that's only been around for 7 years. Basically, what a stat rate is that it says, okay, how often is the other team, their drives, how often is it ending up at punts, turnovers on downs. This year, UCLA's stop rate is 84.6%. They're third. You want to know where they were last year? 112th. So obviously there's a difference, and I'm just trying to find out what it is. By the way, if you're wondering, USC is 59th. 59th, third. Alex Grinch, hi there. Lincoln Riley might have to talk more than 2 minutes, 12 seconds on that one. Edge rusher Gabriel Murphy might be making an impression on the NFL scouts. Now, I will grant you that over at UCLA, Leatu Leatu gets the sacks. But the NFL scouts, they love explosiveness and effort. Murphy has that in spades. The problem that he is going to face at the end of the season when it comes to things like the combine and all this other stuff, it's not just whether or not you can penetrate your explosiveness or whatever. They break out the measuring tape. Murphy's arms are kind of short. That means he could theoretically get handled against the run because he doesn't have the length to push somebody aside. Because of that, he's probably going to be a day 3 pick in the NFL draft. But because of the fact that they love the effort, he could wind up staying with the team and having a lengthy career. They love the energy. Lakers coach Darvin Ham said he wants Anthony Davis to shoot 6 threes a game. Quote, I want him, if he can. I know he won't do it, but maybe he'll shock me. But I've requested to see 6 3-point attempts per game, unquote. 3 per half at least. Quote, I wouldn't put that on him if I didn't think he was capable, unquote. Now look, I know Davis doesn't like playing the low post, coach, but isn't that a little bit over the line? What the hell? I will admit, Davis spent his offseason with Lakers coaches working on the accuracy of his outside shot. It was really reliable when he first came to LA and then started to fade. But I will tell you this, there were only 2 players last year who were either power forwards or centers who attempted that many threes per game. Julius Randle and Lauri Markkanen. So that's going to be odd. In a move that was somewhat suspected, Bones Hyland is going to be a bench player again with the Clippers. It became suspected pretty much when Russell Westbrook re-signed with the team. Hyland is going to battle Terrence Mann for backup minutes. The Clippers also waived Broderick Thomas, who was likely a G League guy anyway, so there's that. CBSSports.com predicts Isaiah Collier will be the Pac-12 Freshman of the Year for USC basketball, which would make him the last Pac-12 Freshman of the Year, but I digress. I'm not one who follows a lot of high school players because let's be real, it always kind of gives you that vibe that when you're not talking about high school athletics, you're driving in a white van trying to talk to school kids that you're looking for the lost puppy. So I don't want to be that guy. But what I can tell you is Collier was ranked in the 20s and 30s as a high schooler, then completely broke out as a senior. His passing ability should be a difference maker for the Trojans because Boogie Ellis was their point guard. He's more shoot first. You give the ball over to Collier, he can find Ellis, he can find some other offensive options, should produce better flow in the USC on the USC front court. By the way, Collier could be one and done. He plays his cards right. He could be a lottery pick. That's what the scouts are thinking. CBS Sports is also saying the Trojans are probably the second best team in the conference behind Arizona. They forecast UCLA as 4th, but I am not sure if it's accurate to say that yet. What I mean by that is Bruins coach Mick Cronin has been saying all this time, he's got to teach all these newbies how to play defense, all the nuance, and that could take a while. But is it possible he's underselling things? Is it possible he's kind of jerking us around a little? But you let me know what you think in the comments thread. Talk to me if USC's defense is sort of underrated. Tell me if you think the Rams are going to be trading away even more players. And if you enjoy the content, don't forget to subscribe to Faithful Angelenos. We're talking LA sports every single day here. Thank you for watching. I'm James. We'll be back tomorrow. Faithful Angelenos is a Kian Corte El Queso production. Take care.